Nephelococcygia is the technical term for cloud gazing. The word Nephelococcygia originates from Aristophanes' play The Birds. It is the Greek for cloud cuckoo land, the utopian city in the clouds that the main character persuades all the birds in the world to build. In other words, we can help stimulate creativity if we step outside the norm by leaving the office, putting technology to one side, or even isolating ourselves from those around us, and you may end up seeing things from a different perspective. In this picture, what do you see? A piranha? A pigeon? Or a monkey skiing? We think the monkey. This picture shows a crazy lady thinking she saw Jesus in her Marmite lid. Another example of seeing things from a different light to others. Things we see can be affected by the type of person we perceive ourselves to be. Whereas this lady sees Jesus, a Muslim extremist may see Bin Laden. Creative strategist Jocelyn Glay's method of stimulating her creative juices is as such. Navigate a new city, take in nature on a long walk, sit quietly and read a book, or have a serendipitous conversation with a stranger. Different tools or the aid of others can also help you see things that may not be so obvious in the first place. You're likely to get some perspective by thinking outside of the realm of your immediate challenge, be it related to your work or a personal project. Once you take your mind off the source of your creative frustration, ideas may come to you from unexpected sources. Psychiatrist Milton Erickson put it, change will lead to insight far more often than insight will lead to change. This image has been construed as a rather rusty template of Australia. This is yet another example of how some people's imaginations see things differently. As Bournemouth students, you can glance across the sea towards the Isle of Wight, and you may just see an island. However, if you are of a more creative disposition, then you may be able to see the famous Isle of Wight polar bear. A good way of demonstrating individual perceptions is through the use of optical illusions. You may have all seen this well-known illusion. Take a moment to analyse this picture and see what you can discover. What did you see? Is it the old lady or the young girl? If it's neither, maybe this isn't the unit for you. Another optical illusion, this time from Salvador Dali. Dali's illusions especially help to illustrate the different perspectives people can have. With this example, the closer you look, the more the picture reveals. Again, take a moment to have a closer look. There is not just the obvious old man's head. Did you see the couple, the dog, and the numerous hidden faces? Moving on to examples within advertising. Competing automakers in the 60s were building ever bigger cars for growing families with baby boomer children, their advertising reflecting this and conveying more fantasy than reality. DDB's new concept of the art directors and copywriters working in unison gave a new perspective on advertising of the tiny, ugly beetle. The incredibly simple and honest adverts connected with the audience on a more emotional level. Two famous print ads illustrate this using headlines such as "Think Small" and "Lemon" to easily highlight the advantages of driving the small Beetle versus a larger car. If this was Volkswagen's idea of a lemon, the Beetle must be a well-built car. This advert uses the idea that many women are more concerned with how they look than what is really important. At first glance, you may perceive this advert to be marketing a particular brand of spot cream, but when you take a minute to read closer, the real meaning is uncovered as a breast cancer awareness campaign. Advertising is not always how it seems on the surface. There's often deeper meaning within. This is the concept of Nephelococcygia. Charities and cause-related organisations often have to think outside the proverbial box when trying to get their message across to audiences who are constantly bombarded with the adverts from the media. These organisations tend to use hard-hitting, impactful images to promote their cause. Leo Burnett and Chicago changed their two-dimensional perspective of the outdoor billboard to create a couple of critically acclaimed adverts for the fast food chain McDonald's. The first by attaching a sundial to the top of the billboard that cast a shadow over a different breakfast item each hour until noon when the golden arches are dead-centered. 2 years later, they helped sell over 500,000 McDonald's salads in a 3-week period, an increase of 30%. Thousands of heads of lettuce were planted on a billboard and over the 3 weeks grew to spell out fresh salads. The PR return on investment for both campaigns was extraordinary, showing how much extra value a creative team can bring to a brand. The concept of Nephelococcygia is not restricted to the world of advertising. Our everyday lives have been influenced by people who choose to look at things from an alternative perspective and innovate. If it wasn't for Charles Darwin, the crazy Marmite lady would be considered a prophet. If it wasn't for the Wright brothers, we wouldn't have to deal with the stressful airports or flight delays. James Dyson had one simple idea that revolutionised the domestic appliances market, a bagless vacuum cleaner. This was unheard of at the time. He launched his first product in 1970 and drew inspiration from art and soundboarding ideas with his family. He looked at shapes that could be used in his invention and still uses these fundamental steps today. Nowadays, I'm sure none of us could even begin to fathom life before the great mobile phone. Before the year 1973, the thought of being able to communicate anytime, any place and anywhere had probably not crossed most people's minds up until Dr. Martin Cooper of Motorola made the first US analog mobile phone, the Dynatac 8000X. With regards to Nephelococcygia, this can be seen as a breakthrough in inventive and creative thinking. Who would have thought back then that mobile phones would have evolved into even smaller, more efficient, faster working devices with the ability to access the internet and much more? This is where the next generation of creative thinking has taken us, Apple's iPhone. Apple Incorporated has become well known not only for its innovative products, but for its advertisements, which are designed to reflect a business plan of marketing their products to creative individuals. Apple's early Think Different advertising slogan mimics the Nephelococcygia method of creation and persuades Apple customers to think outside the box, or in Apple's terms, you're different, you're cool, you're creative if you buy our products. In conclusion, we don't want to be stuck with a standard vanilla ice cream. Let's taste different creative methods.